God known to each of us provide the strength and wisdom to perform the duties and fulfill the responsibilities required by our oath of office. May our actions be pleasing to God and meet the expectations of the citizens we serve. And Father, we ask for your protection on our country this night and our leaders worldwide and the decisions they make as well as what we make here this evening for our citizens. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order for Tuesday, June 17th. There's a portion of the Barboursville Middle School golf team here this evening. Before we get started into our regular agenda, I just want to say how proud we are of you guys for your championship run. Your coach is not here tonight, but today, June 17th, is Barboursville Middle School Golf Day in Barboursville. You guys are worthy. You guys are worthy recognition for your accomplishment, and we're awfully proud of how you represented the village and your school. So congratulations to you guys for what you do. I have proclamations for your coach, and I'm sorry to say our network's been down today specifically, but I'll deliver proclamations to your coach, and all of you have a signed copy by myself and on behalf of the council. So we want to applaud you guys tonight, and you guys have done such a great job, and we're so proud of you all. So thank you for representing the village, and congratulations on your county championship. Parents, we have time for a quick photo op. You don't have to stay for the whole boring meeting, but I'd love to do a quick photo op with these guys. Do you guys mind if we put it on social media at all? No. Okay. If you guys would come up, will you take a picture for us? Cool. Come on up, guys. Come on. One quick picture. The nice thing is you'll all be taller than me in this picture. How about two here? Two here? Yeah. Cool. Congratulations. Yep. Congrats. Nice job. Congratulations. Yep. Thank you guys for being here this evening. I know it's quick, but we appreciate you guys representing the village, and parents, we appreciate you guys bringing them out so we can recognize them this evening. And we'll have that on our social media pages probably by in the morning, and I'll have proclamations in the coach's hand tomorrow, the next day, or Carrie as well. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
We'll jump right into our regular agenda. We have regular council meeting minutes from June 3rd. Council members, what's your pleasure? We have a motion and a second to approve the regular council meeting minutes from June 3rd. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have Larry Brumfield under public comments. We go to public comments. Larry Brumfield, 723B Merritt Street. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you. I have three different topics to discuss this evening. Number one, there's a brick missing in the brick pattern on the sidewalk in front of the entrance to David Hill Limited on Main Street. I think this is a dangerous situation, just waiting for an accident to happen, such as a person stepping into the brick-sized hole there and falling or twisting an ankle. I spoke to Michelle Hill, owner of the West Virginia Quilts, about this, and she was well aware of the missing brick and was very happy that I planned to mention it at this city council meeting. When the missing brick is replaced, it's important that it be attached very securely to the concrete surface below so that the brick will stay in place once it's put into the existing hole in the sidewall. Number two, I'd like to thank Kroger of Barboursville, specifically Sandy Routerbush of Kroger's Floral there, for giving the Barboursville Senior Center the floral bouquets that they feel are no longer worthy of sale because they deteriorated a little from being on display in the store too long. But these bouquets with all kinds of different flowers and different arrangements are still very beautiful, and the seniors at the senior center are delighted to be able to get them for free and take them home with them. I try to get at least one bouquet a week to give to my next door neighbor, who is a young unmarried woman with 2 young children, for her to put in a vase and brighten up her home a bit. And I'd also like to thank Kathy Haraga for doing the difficult task of bringing all these flowers from Kroger to the senior center, sometimes 4 or 5 buckets full of flowers for the seniors to choose from. Number 3, I'd like to thank and compliment Sharon Smith for the excellent job she's doing as the director of the Barboursville Senior Center. What prompted this is my seeing her in action, up close and personal, as they say, during a few days last week, the week of June 9th to 14th. And really the important thing is all these instances that I talk about, these are ongoing throughout the whole week while she is there, interacting with other people. There's always something coming up. So she's always juggling like 50 balls at one time. Here are some examples that involve me. She had previously, and it gives the nature of how she does business, she had previously announced that she was going to open the senior center early at 7:45 a.m. on Monday, June 9th, to distribute some West Virginia Department of Agriculture farmers market food vouchers for seniors. So precisely at 7:45, she opened the door. She said she arrived at the center before 7 a.m. that morning to get everything ready, and she had a 5-foot table full of information, handouts and forms that needed to be signed, and it all had to be done very precisely and in a certain order. She said there was going to be a monitor checking to make sure she was doing it right, but that person didn't show up. And all that information she had on the table was pretty complex. She had previously announced that she would start handing out the vouchers at 8 a.m., but there weren't very many seniors there taking advantage of this opportunity, so she could have started at 7:50, but no, she had said 8 a.m., and that's precisely when she started, not a minute earlier. So what Sharon Smith says she's going to do is exactly what you will get from Sharon Smith. I asked her that morning if she could take a group of seniors on the Senior Center van to Friday the 13th Cabell County Community Services Organization senior picnic at Ritter Park. She said that she wasn't planning to take the van to the event because it's going to be too hot outside and too crowded there for people to enjoy themselves. So I said, okay, I understand, and just let it go. But on Wednesday, I asked her about it again. So she immediately went to the front of the room where everyone was seated and asked over the microphone if anyone would like to go to that picnic. And I think 3 people raised their hand. So she started to sign up sheet for the van trip to Ritter Park, and 9 seniors ended up going to the picnic on the van, and Sharon expertly drove the van there and back. So this is just an example of how Sharon puts the desires and wishes of seniors above her own needs, and it demonstrates her wide range of talents in being able to manhandle that very large van, which can seat 12 people. So everyone had a good time at the CCCSO picnic on Friday, thanks to Sharon Smith. And on Tuesday that week, on June 10th, Sharon was the hostess of the annual Father's Day luncheon at the Senior Center, held during the month of June each year. A really special gourmet meal was served, and 9 or 10 senior men attended. For dessert, an ice cream sundae was served. When she handed me my dessert, she asked if I wanted a spoon. I said, yes, please, and she handed me a spoon. Being something of a punster, I held that spoon up high in front of Sharon and everyone and said, Sharon, I'm going to tell everyone that I spooned with Sharon Smith at the Senior Center. And Sharon said, Larry, if you do that, I will black both your eyes. So Sharon is very quick with the quip. Sharon and I are friends, and we often kid each other like this. At least I think she was kidding with this comment. So this is an example of Sharon creating a comfortable environment where people can relax and be themselves. But Sharon keeps order at the Senior Center and doesn't let people get too far out of line. That's when she has to break up a cat fight between some of those ornery women who go there. That's when one woman accuses another woman of sitting in her seat, which happens fairly regularly. Sharon wrote a page about that in the June Barboursville newsletter, and she called it exactly what it is, bullying. So another aspect of what Sharon does is to use her computer and office skills to contribute to the newsletter each month and to make the 3-page senior center schedule each month. And she's always arranging a wide variety of events and speakers at the senior center, and the list goes on, I'm sure. Sharon told me that she has to plan at least 3 months in advance in order to line up and coordinate everything. And Sharon is always available in her office to talk with anyone about their problems or other personal issues they might have, either at the senior center or in their personal lives at home. So Sharon also acts in the role of a confidant and counselor. I truly think Sharon has the most difficult job of any of the Barboursville employees, so kudos to Sharon Smith. And I just want to add one more thing. I'd like to thank the 2 senior center cooks who prepared that delicious Father's Day gourmet meal, Charlotte Fielder and Kim Scarberry, who also have very friendly, outgoing personalities to make everyone feel comfortable. I also wanted to mention the 3rd cook at the senior center, Phoebe Bush, who would have been there too had she not been home, recovering from a recent and very serious surgery on her hand. So that's all. I hope that wasn't really
Thank you very much.
too long.
I appreciate you being here. We think a lot of Sharon as well. We're reminding everyone who's signed in that our normal time limit is 3 minutes, and we're going to stick to that. I appreciate your comments about Sharon there, Larry. Thank you for being here. We have Jacob Mitchell, 703 Water Street. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I was asked to speak tonight by the members of the Democratic Executive Committee. They're doing some fundraising for the victims in Wheeling and Fairmont. There's been some flooding and it looked like tornado damage happened over the weekend. They're donating mop buckets, any non-perishable items, anything that can help out these victims to help clean up the mess and to help get these people on their feet. And I know that we as a village and you time and time again do things for people when they need help. So just to reach out, and if we can do anything as a community, even if we could donate whatever, $1,000, supplies, something to help out with this cause, it would be great. But I just wanted to let you know about that and ask. Thank you.
Fire department's doing a donation drive. I've talked to both the mayors of Fairmont and Wheeling, and there's donation drives going on everywhere. They're assessing the situation, just so you know. There's been a lot of clothing donated, and that's really not what they need. They're looking for cleaning supplies and things of that nature. The fire department's doing some things, as well as Salvation Army and the Red Cross. So if anyone has a desire to donate, all 3 of those organizations locally are doing something for those cities. They actually were expected and anticipated to have weather again today. So hopefully that passed them by, but there are avenues for all of us to donate to those organizations to help those folks out. We're at the end of public comment. Departmental updates. I did ask Chris Bland to be here this evening to kind of give us an update on what's going on with sewer project from the sanitary board side. I gave you guys kind of an overview last time about shovels in the ground and where things are, but I thought it'd be better from boots on the ground, and Chris is our guy out there, boots on the ground, and I cannot say enough about the communication from the sanitary board and our folks at the sanitary board and the board members about the work that's going on for the benefit of all of our citizens. This is one of the things that I think we all are proud to talk about, because we've been able to stay out of the pockets of our residents with respect to increases in our billing and doing this project the right way and getting funding from several different agencies that allows us to help every single person in this town. This project is probably one of the largest in the last 50 years, and Chris and everyone involved, John, Mark, who have sat in on these meetings and conference calls over the last several weeks, it is invaluable to us. And so I want to say that on behalf of all 3 of these gentlemen sitting here this evening, and Chris, I'll turn the floor over to you to kind of give us an update on where we are.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for the $7 million, because without it, we would have had to raise rates, and you all would have been getting phone calls, and it would have been all over social media, so thank you all for that. After 5 years, actually a little bit longer than 5 years, we finally broke ground. And before you is a packet I created to give you a synopsis of where we've been, what we've been doing versus where we're going, and where we are in the project. The very first page in your packet are quick facts. So groundbreaking took place on March 18th by Famco Construction. They were awarded the over $5 million contract, and it's a massive undertaking. I know sewer's not sexy to talk about, but it affects every single person in this room. 80% of the force main, which is the high pressure pipe that delivers the sewer from Barboursville to Pea Ridge for treatment, has been installed. Once it's completely installed, it will be over 1 mile long from the pump station to Pea Ridge and go under 2 separate rivers. Currently we have one river crossing, that's the Mud River on the DOH side, and we're waiting on the river to recede on the Guyandotte to dry out to cross it. That was supposed to be done already. They had everything in place and everything was ready to go, and then it flooded. So they had to break loose a bit because of Mother Nature. Excavation of the new pump station. If you have driven by the DOH lot across from Menards, probably can't see it from Route 60, but I would encourage you to go there if you want to. It is a massive hole in the ground where the new pump station is. And I'll put the dimensions in here. It's 32 feet deep, 40 feet long, and 24 feet wide. It'll be one of the largest pump stations in the area. So Famco is waiting on delivery of precast wet wells and pumps to continue working. A lot of the precast is coming out of Michigan. We have bar screens that remove solids before they get to the pumps to prevent them from tearing up. The bar screen's coming from Clearwater, Florida. It's currently being built. Talked to Thrasher, which is the engineers of the project this morning, and they stated expected timeline of completion is the end of September. So the end of September, once we start turning valves and sending everything to Pea Ridge, there's going to be quite a bit of learning curve because Pea Ridge has a brand new treatment plant that they've never ran before. They've actually changed the treatment type. And so Barboursville, we produce on average, depending on the time of year, 700,000 gallons of wastewater a day. And so at first, we're gonna throttle our wastewater to Pea Ridge to get everything lined out and all the kinks out because they're still working their end out. And once we turn the valve to throttle our wastewater there, the phase 2 starts of the project, and that is decommissioning of the 12-acre wastewater lagoon. And we are still waiting on grants and state matches for that. Unfortunately, the government's a little bit of a mess right now, so we're playing it by ear. So page 1 of the handout was the quick facts. Page 2 is the overall project. So in the bottom right corner, you will see the lagoon pump station that is beside the DOH lot. And if you follow that black line, it goes all the way across the Guyandotte River to Pea Ridge treatment plant. So page 2 is the overall project. Page 3 is the excavation of the pump station site. And again, these pictures don't do it justice. If you just pop by and look down in the hole, it's a big hole in the earth. Page 4 is excavators and people down in the bottom of the excavation site working, shooting grade. Like I said, the pictures don't do it justice, but the guy standing there with the surveyor's pole is 32 feet in the ground. Page 4 is the high pressure delivery pipe. And if you look from the bottom of the page all the way towards the top, you'll notice that that is one long section of pipe. That is 525 feet of one pipe that's welded together. It's high pressure polyethylene. It's plastic pipe, but it's fused together with a plastic welder. And on the following page, you'll see how they get the pipe to the area where it has to go under the river. They use a lot of heavy equipment to pick the pipe up and move it all at one time, because it is 525 feet of one pipe. So that's what that picture is. Here is the entry point to go under the Mud River. This is beside the DOH maintenance garage. So if you're driving eastbound on 60 across from Aldi and you look left and see a bunch of cones, that is where our new force main goes under the Mud River. And it's 15 feet below the bottom of the mud, and it'll be 20 feet below the bottom of the Guyandotte. The following picture is along Route 60. That is our force main as well, but it is ductile iron. So anything that's below dirt, like on the ground, like under pavement, will be ductile iron, and anything that any force main that goes under a river or a waterway is plastic. It's high pressure plastic. So the following page, you'll see auger bits and the force main that was installed after all of the augering got done. This is behind West Banco. So they had to bore behind West Banco to get under the connector. So it's right by Western Regional Jail, right down the road from Target. So they had to auger 380 feet from West Banco to get on the other side of the guardrail to install our force main. Now, well, the next page, there's more auger. You can see some of the blades on the auger bit are damaged. That's because they hit bedrock that was not anticipated. So they actually damaged some of the equipment, which is covered under the contract. So it'll be no cost to us. It's just part of doing construction. The following picture, you will see boots sticking out of casing pipe. When Famco was trying to retrieve 380 feet of their auger bit, 140 feet inside, the auger bit broke. You have to pull it out. So you send the skinniest guy on your crew on a homemade skateboard, 120 feet in the ground, to put a rope around it. And so I just think that picture, it'll always be funny to me. It's in my office. It's unlucky to be skinny sometimes. So, but he was a champ about it. He went in and put a chain around the auger, and they were able to use a huge excavator to eventually pull it out. It put up a fight because it was damaged and it was kinked, but he went 120 feet in the ground and pulled it out. So
I hope he got it on the first try.
2 tries.
When you're the smallest guy on a construction site, they always come to get you to do the dirty stuff.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. So unfortunately, he drew the short straw on that one. The next picture is hard to see, but this is the ductile iron pipe with the spacers around it. That is actually under Ben Bowen Highway right now. It's beside West Banco and sticking out of the guardrail on the other side, 380 feet away. But that is the new force main for Barboursville. Last picture, there is a project sign with all of the information that has all of council members' names on it, the mayor, and the sanitary board members. Total project cost is $5.1 million for phase 1. And then it's just a standard sign. So if you're driving down Route 60 and look on DOH fence across from Nard, you'll see this sign. So that's where we are. like I said, we're waiting on the Guyan dot to dry out, which doesn't seem like it's ever going to. But hopefully next week, everything that FAMCO is waiting on, materials and supplies, will be in. And after that, the Guyan dot dries out and we'll get everything back up and running.
What is your estimate on phase 2 cost?
Well, the cost, John, do you remember what the cost is on phase 2?
Isn't that, 5 to 7?
5 to 7 on phase 2, that's decommissioning the, no, phase 2 is the upgrades of the lift stations.
No, phase 2 is the,
It's
The
decommissioning, yeah.
decommissioning. I have
It all runs
17 different
together.
phases in my head. Yeah, 5 to 7 to decommission the lagoon.
And that's what we're short money on?
we're waiting for the federal
Federal money
money
to come in.
to come in.
Thanks for being here this
Very
evening.
good. Very good.
Yeah, thank you for being here. That,
Yes,
and I will
thank
say
you for
this
the
to the
pictures.
council again, I know Chris
Yeah.
has already said this, but if there's ever anything that we've been responsible for that there's something to be proud of is our involvement in the Century World Project, because it affects every single resident in their pocketbook, and I think it's commendable for this council to have had the foresight to do that. So I'll say thanks to the council again. And Chris, thanks for being here and give us the
Yeah,
update.
absolutely.
We'll ask you back in 2 or 3 months to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that your departmental updates are in the packets and whatnot. I'll just say, Rick's not here this evening. We've all seen group text what he's doing in terms of why he's not here this evening. Also be thinking about Danny Porter too. He's on under the weather, so he and Rick both are out for the same reason this evening. June 30th, as far as departmental updates go, I'll just say this from my side. June 30th is the ribbon cutting for Village Caregiving and their new facility next door to the former CVB building. We'll get invitations printed and from them, and I'll send you a copy out of those. But June 30th is the tentative date for them to have the ribbon cutting. We're planning on the governor being here, or at least chief of staff here at very least, but there'll be several people here as their business continues to grow. It's pretty cool that they're the fastest growing home health organization in the United States, and they're choosing to call right here home. They'll put 40 or so offices in that building, some common space, which will be nice for people to be able to have meetings in that they'll let the community have access to. So I'm looking forward to that project. We have several items under old business, so we'll jump right into that. I'm gonna let John and Mark talk about the first couple. The first one is consideration of approval of ordinance. We've already had first readings. Amending Article 733, Business Occupation Tax of the Codified Ordinances of the Village of Barboursville, is related to House Bill 2451. This is the second reading, and I'll entertain a motion in a second, and then we'll let John and Mark, whoever would like to speak to that, speak to that.
I'll make a motion. A second.
We have a motion and a second discussion, and gentlemen, whoever would like to speak to that can go ahead.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here in June where it's still daylight. It's time to be at night. It's lovely. It wasn't that long ago that legislative session ended, but it does in many ways seem a very long time ago. But from legislative session of 2025, there are several things that do require municipalities to update their code. Tonight we're doing 2 of them. There'll be some other things coming. I believe John gave you a heads up during a work session, which I was during that time I was unable to attend. But I will give you the short version of what happened, and you're more than welcome to ask questions, because I'm always going to talk taxes, but I want to save you a little bit of that. So this legislative session, there was a bill introduced that was really designed to preempt cities from regulating no-impact home-based businesses. This was an idea to say that people who are conducting businesses in their home, who aren't interfering with their neighbors or anything, should be allowed to be unregulated by city zoning laws and whatnot. Now, we don't have zoning per se in Barboursville, so it's largely moot. But in the last days of session, that bill was amended to include some things that do impact us, and that's what we're addressing tonight. Specifically what it does is it basically says that businesses, whether you're an independent contractor or whatever you may be, if you have less than $2,500 a year in gross receipts, you are exempt from paying B&O taxes as well as exempt from paying the business license tax. So we in Barboursville do impose a business and occupation tax. We also impose a business license tax. And some of you call it business license fee. I think John calls it a business, license, fee, but it is a business license tax under the West Virginia Code. In any event, it's only $5 for the business license tax. In any event, if you are less than $2,500 in gross receipts in a year, you are exempt. That did require us to then accordingly make some changes to how our code is written to codify that exemption. And that's what's before you tonight. We have two related bills. The first one you made a motion on, the second one we have to make a motion on that as well. And it basically just says that if you are earning less than that stated amount, you are exempt from paying business and occupation tax. That's this one. And then the next one says you're exempt from paying business license tax. Also, the business license tax, we did increase the amount from $5 to $20. This has been something that's been talked about for several years. We just never done it, but since we had updated the code section anyway, we did take this opportunity to increase that. This was subject to a public hearing at 7:15 today, which we had, but no one from the public showed up and commented on, and that's not particularly surprising. Is this particularly impactful to your revenue dollars? I would say probably not. The reason for that is Barboursville already had a quarterly exemption in place, so this isn't going to really be material to your overall revenues. I don't think so. John can give those numbers. He can talk about. He'll say I'm wrong. That's okay.
No, it's not material.
but it's not going to be really material. I will say this: it is important though to understand how we got here through legislation, what they were trying to do policy-wise. That they believe that small businesses should be given a break, both with respect to regulatory oversight as well as to tax and licensing. That is a very popular basis right now in the legislature. And the original amount was much higher than $2,500. They started off with $20,000, gross receipts, and then it got reduced to $2,500 over a series of amendments and discussions. So, we do not anticipate legislature revisiting this next year. We think that they made their peace with this piece of legislation, but nonetheless, I think it's important for us to be mindful of, there are dynamics occurring in Charleston and across the state that do impact us directly. And then later on this summer, we'll be in touch with you about some other things that we need to update our code on as well. But they were not as pressing. It is done by the beginning of July 1, which is the beginning of the fiscal year, it's the beginning of a reporting period, and we want to keep the tax periods consistent. John, what did I miss?
The increase will not be effective until next fiscal year. So the people that have already paid for their business license for the upcoming year, it's $5. So it won't be to 20 until next year. But everything else is in effect.
Do you have any questions?
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your explanation of both of those items. So we have a motion and a second on item A, amending Article 733 of the B&O tax of the codified ordinance of the Village of Barboursville as related to House Bill 2451 on second reading. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You also heard the explanation of consideration of approval of ordinance 2025-03, amending Article 737 of the licensing tax codified ordinance of the Village of Barboursville as related to House Bill 2451 on second reading. Does anyone have anything else to add to that, Mark? Are you good? Just making sure. I think you explained it well, but is there any questions about that? If not, I'll entertain a motion and a second for the approval of 2025-03.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have items under new business. And the first item is consideration of approval resolution 2025-20 approving payment of project invoices for the Tanner Branch Storm Drain Rehabilitation Project. I think This is also something that's been explained. We will have invoices periodically for. So I'll entertain a motion for the approval of payment of that invoice for the Tanner Branch Stormwater Project.
That's the 263, 150.
Let's see.
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yeah, sorry, I didn't say the amount. You're correct, and in your question, yes, ma'am. We have a motion in a second now?
Second.
Okay. If there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is consideration of approval of bid awards for police cruiser. The interceptors, the police cruisers, are in the amount of $45,377. That is the recommended bid as per our bid procedures, and that is from Stevens Automotive. So the police interceptors are $45,377 in their amount in the recommended bid acceptance. I'll entertain a motion to that effect. These are replacements, by the way.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second to award the bid to Stevens in the amount of $45,377.
I have one question on that.
Sure.
Are we doing two or not? I saw another bid was for two. I didn't know, is this?
Yes,
two
This
cruisers?
is, the cruisers are, this is our amortization schedule, so when
Okay.
This is actually coming out of next year's budget, but in order to get them ordered
Okay,
for next
Yep.
year.
that's the only thing.
Yep. So, and just like with the truck, we're actually ordering them ahead of getting them because we can't get them. So the next bid is the same thing. We won't get them, but we're awarding the bid, so we save the price bid now instead of paying more later. So we have a motion and a second on the interceptors for $45,377. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And the next item is consideration of approval of bid award for a replacement truck in the amount of $47,974. That also is from Stevens Automotive. And just for the record, we did have bids from Whiteside as well, but the recommended bid is from Stevens for the police truck F-150 in the amount of $47,974.
Make that motion.
We have a motion and a second on the floor for the approval of the bid from Stevens Automotive in the amount of $47,974. If there is no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The last item under new business is consideration of approval of resolution 2025-21, approving payment of project invoices for the Blake Street storm drain rehabilitation project, and the amount of that is $33,480. Am I reading that correct? Yes. Okay. And I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion or questions? Again, we're just going through anticipating what we knew we had ahead of us to pay for these projects. So we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're at the end of our agenda. I did want to say one thing. I meant to say in departmental updates. We had two very nice letters, and I'll say this. I don't mean this in the manner that it's dismissive, but we had two very nice letters about the police department this past week as well, from Principal Nikki Kidder from the elementary school about Officer C and his performance as a school resource officer this past year, and then Officer Wolf, who was able to assist a wayward traveler who took time to send the chief and myself a letter about some assistance in the construction zone in a dangerous situation. And I just think this goes, again, we hear this all the time, but when you get recognition in written form about these guys and what they do, we all know they do it, but when somebody takes the time to write those letters, I think it's important we mention council meetings. So Chief, I know that we had talked about this, but please extend our gratitude to those two officers and the rest of your force as well, and also we'll place those letters in their file for accommodation. So thank you to you and your guys for just taking care of them.
Thank Ben.
Both letters were, I'll make sure to get over there to do that too, but the letters were super nice and super appreciative of their efforts, and I just want to make sure we recognize those two individuals. So that is really all I have, other than, again, the 30th is the ribbon cutting for village caregiving. All the notifications for summer activities from Brandy and Andre's standpoint are in the newsletter. They're on the electronic signboard. They're on Holly's doing push notifications on the app, which I don't know if you heard me say before, but today there was some trouble with how the script is written, so they're getting that corrected this afternoon and this evening. Those push notifications about the recycling drive will go out this week as well, which happens Saturday. This Saturday should be our first full farmer's market day as well, depending upon how things have gone. It's been really rainy, so growing season's been a little tough. So it may take another week, according to what Randy was telling me today, to get us up to full speed at the farmer's market, but that'll run through the end of the summer. So if you get a chance, visit the farmer's market and encourage everyone to attend those events in the park. All that schedule is out on social media as well as everywhere else we put that out. And that's all I have. Thanks everybody for being here.
Chris Blanton, thank you for coming and giving us all of your updates, and I appreciate the pictures and everything you prepared for us. It helps us understand a little bit more of what's going on, so I appreciate that. Chief, welcome back.
Thank you.
You were missed, but I'm glad you're back.
Thank you.
Feeling better. Mark, thank you for everything you do for us and preparing everything. I know there's a lot of time that goes behind the scenes that we don't see, so I appreciate that. And John, thank you for preparing all of our financial statements, and I know that takes a lot of time as well, so thank you for everything you do.
That was the other thing I was gonna mention. I'm sorry to interrupt or to go back again, but you have before you the audit financials of the village. We have those audited externally every year, and we always get a great report, but it's nice to see that continuously. And John, you and your staff are committed for what you guys do. And
It's a team effort.
It is.
On everybody's part to make sure that we follow, the controls that are in place so that things flow as they're supposed to, and that all the checks and balances are there when the auditors do come in and go through and actually check a whole transaction cycle all the way from the beginning to the end to see that we're doing the right things. So it's a team effort from everybody, including even people like Chris Blanton, who starts off with the requisition and purchase order process. There's just, everybody's involved with what we have to do to get that where we are, so.
You have a good team.
We do have a good team.
thanks for your effort. Please pass that along to them as well.
That's all I can say. Thank you, John and Mark, for what all you do, and welcome back there, and thank you also for Chris for presenting this to us. This is very informative, and it's something I think we all enjoy seeing, because we hear about it, but we just don't know exactly what all's going on, so thank you.
Right, yeah.
I do wanna say, we need to think about Sharon. She's getting ready to have some surgery, so we need to keep her in our prayers, along with a couple of other families here in town. Teresa Goodpastor, her husband was on the fire department for like 30 years, and she just passed away. And Ricky Smith, who was an employee over at the garage several years ago, so he just passed away, so we need to keep their family in our prayers. Thank you all for coming tonight, appreciate it. That's it.
Every time I get the opportunity to speak here, I talk about how amazing Barboursville is. And, tonight, it just kind of is full circle from all of you at the table and all the people that are under you, that we are blessed to live in the city where we're drama-free. And if there is drama, it's a sidewalk needs painted or something. I mean, we're just, when you see where America is and you see where we are very, very blessed to be able to live in a village that is just an amazing place to live. And the reason it's an amazing place is because of all the citizens that make sure that we're running it the way we should, from every penny that we spend to every penny that we have to come up with. From our police to protecting our kids to protecting our citizens and doing what's best for the community. I don't think that we are in the majority. I think we're in the minority of how smooth things run. So just everybody needs to be commended that has something to do with making this the best place to live. And while we're on the map, we're low key, and low key means that we're doing things good. We're not causing trouble, and trouble's not here. So just thanks to everybody for making this the best place to live.
Just taking on the project here that we committed to. I think another social media blast, I don't know how much we really push it. I don't think the citizens realize the commitment and what we put in to preserve what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, probably, I don't know, I haven't seen the stats lately, probably the lowest rates in the entire state for sure.
We're in the
sewage, so
bottom. We're in the bottom third for sure.
I'm sure most don't realize just, how much we're preserving there and no changes are occurring. So maybe just another push there to say, hey, this is
Oh, the COVID
a big
money.
win for the village.
I mean, what we were able to do with the COVID money, that we were able to affect everybody. you
Right.
know.
Yep.
I did have a couple questions real quick about it. Appreciate the packet. Great to see some truly what's happening and understand the layout and stuff. Just about layout though, I know a lot of real estate's avoided already, but where it does cross paths, are there any restrictions as far as parking lots build? I mean, certain parameters that are restricted?
No, so the force main was moved a couple of different times, after, the surveyors did a compaction test to see if the river bank was stable enough to handle it. So there were some changes in the past, but all of the easements from the property owners, of course, that's your first step, is you gotta get permission to cross someone's property. All of the easements from the property owners, the Army Corps of Engineers, CSX, and CSX was another holdup here recently. The original plan that was submitted to CSX was to directional drill under the train trestle on Route 60. And once the engineers got down there and actually started digging around, they said it would go a lot quicker and be a lot faster and cheaper if they could open cut it with an excavator. And so they had to resubmit everything to CSX, and we heard back last Friday at 1 o'clock that we got permission to do that. And so it's a massive project with a lot of moving parts and a lot of government agencies. You got West Virginia DEP, you've got the EPA at the federal level, and so everything was secure before the first shovel was in the ground. So nothing was affected, like parking lots or someone's shed out back behind their house or anything like that. And so it was a long process to get everyone on board to sign off and say, hey, you can put this utility, this massive utility across my property, but we did it.
And then just about closing down the lagoon, is there a time restriction we have to do it, and then how long will the project take itself as well?
We're not sure yet because we have a couple of different ways that we can decommission the lagoon, and it'll come down to cost and timeline. We have to work in sync with the Department of Environmental Protection and the EPA on how to decommission that. One is to bring in equipment and de-water the sludge from the bottom and just treat it like a landfill. Like once you get the water out and the sludge out, you can treat it like a landfill, bring dirt in and start building it up to meet Route 60 and get out of the floodplain. Another option is to use engineered bacteria. It's called enzymes. And so that'll come down to a cost. The enzymes will get rid of the sludge naturally, and what they do is they eat the sludge and convert it to energy, just like you eat food and convert it to energy, and what you don't use, you expel. So that's another way. So we have multiple options, and when we get closer to that phase, we'll see what the cost is versus what the timeline is, because we want to get rid of that thing as soon as possible. I mean, it causes problems twice a year during the weather change because of turnover. And that's when we start getting phone calls and Facebook messages. Oh, it stinks. Well, it's Mother Nature. You know, it's Mother Nature. Yeah? And what we do is we speed up Mother Nature to treat the waste. But once we get closer, I'll report back to everyone and see what the quickest way and the most financially responsible way to get rid of the lagoon will be. And so that we're still in talks with that. So
Just say too, that the president of the sanitary board would love to do it the most economic way possible, but the mayor would like to sell it as quickly as possible to business. And both of those people are the same person. So, you put two hats on. I wanna do it as economically as possible like Chris and everyone else does, but also that is gonna be super marketable property for us, and to have revenue generating property is, I don't mean this mean, Chris, but I want that more than I want to close it down with enzymes or however we need to close it down, so. But to say again, Chris and the team has done a fantastic job, through the course of all of this, and that also goes for everything that John and Mark do in support roles for the actual shovels on the ground. We have a really good team on this project, including the council and sanitary board members, because again, we're affecting every resident here, and it's a cool project.
I will say there are a lot of conversations and a lot of meetings that we have on every single penny that we spend. There are projects that we wanna do now and go ahead and get it done, but it may not be financially best for Barboursville to do right now. So we go after grants and we go after different means of funding. And there's a lot of legwork that goes into what we do. And to harken back, I can't thank you guys enough for the money because you save everyone money. So from the sales tax, we stayed out of our ratepayers' pockets. So thank you guys again for
I
that.
think it should be noted that you're able to get a response from the railroad quicker than the guys on the interstate.
We have a really good working relationship with just about everyone. I've been doing this for 15 years, and over 15 years, I've made a lot of great contacts. So instead of going up the chain, I know this person's boss, and I may know this person's boss, so I can call them and call in a few favors. So what maybe should take 6 months takes about 6 weeks, and that's just perks of doing this for a long time. So.
We've done the people, and we've got the right people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what makes home home.
Absolutely.
That's all I've got, thanks.
That's great leading right into this, cause man, I just think you guys are top shelf, and I'm not just, saying that. Everybody wants to be part of Barboursville. I mean, that may be why we get the best group of folks that are representing us. Chris, thank you for this. It's hard, it's easy to, or rather it's tough to shell out millions of dollars and then finally you see where that money's going and what it's doing and like we talked about, not very many communities are going to be able to do these types of things, and I think over the years where Barboursville is going to sit back and everything's going to be run like a smooth oiled machine, other communities, and you probably see it on the news most of the time. Other communities are having infrastructure problems and that kind of stuff where they're going to have to beg for grants or sewer rates or rates go sky high and certainly be less fortunate than we are right now. And Chief, welcome back, and we steal other people's police officers, and get people want to come back. They want to be part of Barboursville, and we certainly want the best, and you hear that all the things that good news and things like that, and you don't hear many bad news. I mean, I think the mayor's mentioned before, the news even on the newspaper, as bad as they may have to admit it, 9 out of 10 stories are positive stories, from Barboursville and everything like that. So it makes us all proud to be here. And John, I kid you about this right here. You went from age 47 to 49. I'm not sure what. But you think about these audits and everything like that. These guys are, these guys know what they're doing, and they're going to come in and I think this is the third year there's been no findings and everything. And these guys, I think they sometimes try to justify their paycheck by making some notations and everything like that. And for them to come up with nothing speaks for itself. And Mark, nobody likes attorneys, but we all like you. I think it's great, and I think you're a great guy, and thank you for being with the city of Barboursville and part of us. And I'm not quite done, but I want to.
I don't think you topped that.
Yeah, I gotta go on.
You're on a roll. The village caregiving, man. I'm so proud of these guys. I coached a lot of these. I call them kids. They're not kids, but these kids. I coached them in baseball, and Yeah, they're really, all of them are really super good kids, and I'm really proud that, you know, like the mayor said, you know, they got this, their national headquarters is gonna be right here in Barboursville. And I don't think you'll ever see, uptown, the same, once all that gets kicked in and going and everything. And I'm excited about their prospects, and you know, I can't wait to go to the shindig right there. And you know, everything is really going well in Barboursville. When our number one complaint, on 20 miles of sidewalk, we have one brick missing.
You're right.
So I mean, we got one brick missing on the sidewalk, and that's the complaint of the day. So hey, that's pretty good, and I'll take that.
It'll be priority one come Monday, don't worry about it. Department heads, you guys good? Thank you all for being here. Thanks for everybody for coming this evening. One thing I did wanna mention, I'm working on time frame with our architects who were talking about stuff at the park. We will do either the first or second meeting of July. It just kind of depends on their schedule, but I'll have Rachel send a notice out for a work session so that they can give us a presentation back on what we give them feedback on.
We're, as
Yep.
you know, we're closed Thursday and Friday, so garbage pickup for tomorrow is for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, let your
Yep.
neighbors know.
Well,
Yep.
let your.
The push notification went out and it's online as well,
Yes,
so,
sanitation
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
Just make sure everybody knows.
Yep.
And the audit report is on the website if anybody that doesn't have a hard copy wants to see it.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for being here. We'll adjourn the meeting.